Hi everyone and welcome to my second ever published video on YouTube. Today I am going to be talking about the Riviera palette. In fact, I'm going to be duping the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette within my own collection. Now this palette came out just recently and there has been a huge amount of buzz about it, and I keep on looking at it and being like, oh, I really want to buy that, and then realizing that the only thing I like about it is that bottom row of mattes. I actually don't really like the top row of shimmers at all, so I've been kind of umming and ahhing, and I finally realized that all of the bottom row, which is what I'm obsessed with, I hopefully will have a picture somewhere on screen, all of that bottom row is what I like and I already own it. And so what I thought I'd do today is I would dupe out the Riviera palette using my own collection and showing you, hopefully encouraging you maybe to do the same. I'm not suggesting that you go out and you buy all of these palettes and all of these singles. What I wanted to show you is that maybe you already own the shades that you really like from the Riviera palette, and hopefully this maybe encourages you to reach into your own collection. But then also, if you would like to get a couple of these, especially with the matte row down the bottom, I've tried to make them single shadows from Colourpop, so that if you want to buy them, they're relatively inexpensive and they're also easier to get your hands on rather than buying a whole palette, just getting a couple. I will say I found it much easier to dupe the bottom row than I did to dupe the top row. The reason I found it so hard is because the colours in the top row I personally don't like as much as the mattes in the bottom row, hence I don't own as many of those sorts of colours in my collection. I hope that makes sense, and without further ado we will get into the dupes right now. I should maybe also specify that in regards to colour, I'm looking for colour dupes, not formula dupes. I've never used the Anastasia Beverly Hills formula, so I couldn't dupe it even if I wanted to. The other thing I should say is this makeup look has been filmed. I have no idea whether I will ever post it, simply because the lighting of that video that I filmed was pretty off, and so who knows whether you'll ever see it. Without further ado, I'm going to start by duping Seychelles, which is literally a matte white. So you probably own a matte white in your collection. The one that I thought of first was the LA Girl Eye Luxe Mesmerizing eyeshadow palette in Eternalise, in particular this shade A up the top here. So I'm going to swatch this. You may not be able to see it simply because I'm so pale, but this is what it looks like here. And it's this really nice matte white. Okay. The other one that I do have, and I'm going to be pulling from this palette a lot simply because it's got a lot of shades in it, is the Violet Voss Ride or Die palette. And I'm going to use the shade Michelle here, and this is also a matte white. The one thing I will say about the Ride or Die palette is, unless you own it, obviously don't go out and buy it to get some of these dupes, because obviously you'll probably have some within your own collection that aren't from a $100 and something palette. It's very expensive, but there we go. That is all sorted. Oh, I should also address my accent. If you're confused or wondering where I come from, I have a New Zealand accent. I am a Kiwi and I've lived in New Zealand my whole life, hence why I have a really strong accent. The two shades of the Seychelles colour. Then we're going to go with Yacht. Now I found Yacht really hard to dupe simply because in every photo it looks so different, so I could not tell what shade it was. I could tell it was foiled, and every time I saw a photo of it I was like, okay, obviously it's a foiled shadow, but I really struggled. I was like, is it a taupe or is it more of a bronze? So what I've done is I've brought both options and I'm going to swatch them on my hand. So one of the options that I've got is Snake Eyes from Colourpop. It's this one here, and this is like a really shimmery foiled taupe. So that's what this one looks like. Here you go. It's a super shimmery foiled taupe, and if it's more of a bronze, to be honest, you could go into any of the Violet Voss palettes and you'll probably have some sort of bronze. This one here called Monica, this is from the Ride or Die palette, doesn't seem super close when you look at it in the pan, but when you look at swatches of them, they actually look a little similar, and so there's Monica. But I personally think Snake Eyes is a closer dupe, which is why I'm going to put it as part of this grouping of colours. Okay, the next shade is Seychelles, which is like a blue shimmer, and I personally looked at this colour and straight away I thought of this palette. This is the Zulu palette by Juvia's Place. And it is this blue shimmer right in here. Oh, in case you're wondering what I'm wearing on my eyes, I'm wearing this in the crease as well, just in case you wanted to know. So there's this blue colour here. It hasn't got a name in this palette, but this is what it looks like here. I personally think this is an almost perfect colour dupe. So it might be slightly lighter, but honestly, it's beautiful, and I probably would assume the formula slightly better, seeing as Juvia's Place shimmers and foils are some of the best eyeshadows on the planet. And then we're going to move on to, I have no idea how to pronounce this name, Palermo, I think. And this is a red-pink shimmer. In some pictures it looks more red, in some pictures it looks more pink. So what I did was I found a couple in my collection. So again, the Violet Voss Ride or Die palette. There's a colour here called Andrea, and that looks relatively similar. You probably will have a couple of these, just because it's quite a popular shade. So there's that one there. And then there's another one in the Ride or Die palette called Cranberry Splash. Again, quite similar, but I personally found the closest and nicest red is the one from the Mecca Max Eyes on You eyeshadow palette. The reason I've pulled this out, even though it is a limited edition palette, is because I know that a lot of people in New Zealand and Australia bought this palette. It came out, it was by the brand Mecca, who's essentially our Sephora, and it sold out super quickly both in New Zealand and Australia, and it was gone before Christmas time. Like, it released around the 1st of December and it was gone before the 25th. So this is really, really popular. Sold out really quickly, and the shade that I'm going to be using is called Heart Open, up in this top corner here, and that's going to come join this team right here. So also, in case you're looking at my channel and being like, wow, this girl seems relatively comfortable in front of camera, considering this is her first time posting a video. In all honesty, I've been filming videos for about, I'd say about 7 years now, and I have never posted a single one because I'm a wuss. So I'm finally just gonna post this. I don't care. I don't care whether the lighting's perfect. I don't care whether the sound's perfect. I'm just gonna post this because I love YouTube, and I just love it so much. And so yeah, in case you're wondering why this is the first video you've ever seen from me and I seem a little comfortable, it's because I've been doing this for a while and I really enjoy it, and I just finally wanted to share the videos that I've made. So yeah. So the next colour is called Seaside. Now this is a greyish blue. Again, every photo of this palette, especially the shimmers, just seems so bizarre because some photos they look one colour and some photos they look the other. What I ended up deciding on using was, again, my Violet Voss Ride or Die palette, and there is a shade in here called Jasmine, and it's this really light greyish blue. I actually think this is a really, really close colour dupe. It might be a little more silvery than what you would see in the ABH palette, but it's pretty close. Oh, there's that one there. The next one is Inheritance. Now this is like a lemony yellow. There were two ways I thought you could get this from my collection. So I thought either you could mix Jane and Ella. So Jane is a little bit too yellow, a little bit more like goldeny, and then a little bit of Ella. And you could get it pretty close to that lemon yellow, but I feel like it's still got a little too much of an orange base. The other colour that I wanted to bring in, but it turned out wasn't very close, was Two Birds by Colourpop. Again, it was too orangey instead of being more yellow. The closest colour dupe I found was in, again, the Mecca Max Eyes on You palette, and this is the shade Citron. And it's this, sorry if I just butchered your language, I honestly don't know how to pronounce the name. And this is this yellow here. As you can see, it's quite a sunshiny yellow. It's still got a little more gold in it than the other one does. It's still a little bit darker, but it's closer than anything else I've got in my collection. Okay, the next one that I've got is the shade Mediterranean. This is like a dark navy shimmery blue. Personally, I don't have anything that's similar. Again, as I said before, with the shimmers, they're not colours that I use frequently or like very much. So trying to find them in my collection is pretty difficult. So I chose a greyish blue rather than a blue with a hint of grey. So I chose, again, another one from the Ride or Die palette, and this is Jamie here. I promise after these shimmers are done, that's pretty much the end of this palette. And we're going to swatch that one for you there. Okay, and so that is all of the top row of the ABH palette there for you. It's what they all look like, all duped out. Okay, I'll do some close-ups and then we'll move on to the mattes. Okay, hopefully those close-up swatches were all right. So now I'm going to move on to the bottom row. Now the first colour, gonna be honest, I really don't like those sorts of colours in palettes, and honestly it's just because they don't show up on my skin colour. They're the same colour as me, so they're of no use whatsoever. Yeah, wasn't that particularly interested in it. It's called Estate. The closest colour match I found was Marshmallow. This is in the Mecca Max palette again. Honestly, I think this is such a stupid shade. Just because they could have, this is the one colour I think they should have taken out and replaced with a navy. That would have made this palette so much more interesting, because I feel like the pink and the white, just there's not that much difference. And you know, you're not going to use them very differently either. Yeah, I think they could have definitely excluded the shade. I think it was really not a good colour choice. The next colour that I honestly genuinely think I have got spot on is the colour Cabana, and that is a mustard shade, and I've got this Colourpop shade called Paper Tiger, and it is the perfect colour match. It is just perfectly mustardy brown. It's literally an exact colour match. It doesn't swatch particularly well, but this is one of my favourite colours to work with. It blends so nicely, it's super buildable, and it's freaking amazing matte. So that one is great, and I think it's a perfect colour match. Now, the next couple colours amuse me because I already have a palette with them all in. I actually used to have a purple in place of this shimmer, and it was almost identical to the bottom row of the ABH palette. So that's what I find quite funny. These are all Colourpop shades. So the next ones I'm going to be swatching are all from this palette. So we have the shade Coastline, which is a warm orange, but it's still got some pink in it. So I chose the shade Wait For It by Colourpop, and that is this one here. And I'm just going to swatch that for you guys. There is another shade that, if you're not a big fan of really peachy colours, if you don't like them as much, I've got another shade dupe for you. So this is Wait For It here. And then there's another shade called IOU by Colourpop, which is this one here. And if we swatch that, you'll see that it's a little more orangey. Sorry, I'll swatch it here. See, it's got a little more orange to it, a little less pink, and it's a little less vibrant. So if you wanted something a little more toned down, but still relatively close to what you see in the ABH Riviera palette, it still kind of holds with the colour scheme, I think that's a really good option. The next colour we've got is Bahamas, and this is a hot pink. The best dupe I have for this is Sandbar by Colourpop right here. I also think this is my favourite colour in my whole collection, by the way. It's what I'm wearing on my lower lash line today. This colour here, I hadn't even finished my swatching, is very, very similar to the pink that you see in the Gingerbread palette by Too Faced. So if you own that, you've got a pretty good colour dupe. I personally don't. I think it's a little less hot pink and maybe a little more, it got little touch more purple in it, so it's a little bit deeper. But I would say that's a pretty close colour match. On the eyes, they'll look almost the same. Also, I just looked at my monitor and realised my lips look crazy. In real life, I promise it's like a muted pink, but on camera it's showing up ridiculously hot pink. So you're welcome. So that anyway is Sandbar swatch. So the next colour that I'm going to go into is Monte Carlo. Now, in their pictures, their one looks a little less vibrant than this colour right here. So their one looks a little more soft, maybe a little more pink. This one's a little bit more neon. This is the colour Slim Fit. Yes, this is the colour Slim Fit right here. The next one is Cannes, and this is a grape purple. Now, I did initially think I could use Colourpop's 143, which is this colour here, but if I swatch that for you, first of all, I don't like this shade very much, but that's what this one looks like here. Whoa, that was really pigmented. Hello, pigment. There's that one, but I actually thought that the purple shade in the Zulu palette here is a closer shade match. It's a little bit of a deeper purple. I will say neither of these purples that I'm presenting to you blend. As you can see, this one's a little bit more deep purple and it's got a little less pink in it. It's more true purple. Neither of these blend particularly well. From what I've heard, the purple in the Riviera palette doesn't blend too well either. So, oh well, at least we're being consistent. This colour is best when you've smoked it out on the lower lash line, or just use it up to really deepen up that outer corner, but trying to blend it into your crease is just not a thing that's going to work, really. So don't do that. But yeah, there you go, that's a colour match, quite a good colour match, I think. Maybe the one in the Riviera palette's a touch deeper, but they're pretty much on par with each other. And the final colour is Palm. Now, this colour is not hard to do. If you own pretty much any browns, you will have this. You know, you'll have this somewhere. I thought the best one that I've got, the best dark brown I've got, is in the LA Girl Eternalise little eyeshadow palette, and it's this one here. And this colour is so smooth to the touch, and it blends really nicely on the eyes, which is why I used it. I will say it has not reacted very well to me putting my fingers in it quite a lot recently over the day. So there's that one there. The other thing that you could use, honestly you could use any palette. In the Eyes on You palette there is a colour called Gessler. This one is pretty spot on. There's quite a few in the Violet Voss palettes. Teddy Bear is one that springs to mind, that's in the Holy Grail palette. There are a ton of those brown colours, so you could easily find one in your collection. It's probably the most dupable shade out of this entire palette. And that is all from me. I'll insert the close-ups of these and then we'll finish off the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed, to hit the thumbs up button. There is also a subscribe one down below if you want to come join the family. And I will see you all in my next upload. Bye!